Everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hi there.
Welcome
How you doing,
to
Cynthia?
Unsung Heroes. I'm doing quite well. Oh, what a wonderful, eventful morning we've been having, or afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining Unsung Heroes. I am Cynthia Vergon, and I am with my wonderful guest, Chris Wilrich. It's so good to see you. I miss you.
Guest, I'm your co-host.
Did I say guest?
You said guest.
I said guest? Oh my god.
I
have
I'm
had
part
a
of
little
the
too much
woodwork.
of this. You are part of the woodwork.
So
Oh,
where are you in the world?
I am in Uruguay, and I'm in Punta del Este in Uruguay.
What do you call me?
And Punta del Este.
No, I just thought you called it. Just thought you. Well, you're a gay.
No, Uruguay. Uruguay.
I say
Not
Uruguay.
Uruguay.
I think the British say Uruguay.
Uruguay.
I don't know. I don't know who's
here
right.
in here they say Uruguay. Uruguay.
So we're close.
So I get Uruguay. Uruguay. Whatever. Doesn't matter. And yeah, so I'm here, and I'm in a co-working space, and it's fun because this is like really cool place. Y'all can look at it you can go on the internets and check out Box Garden at Punta del Este. It's really interesting. It's a really cool place. Anyway, so I'm here, and yeah, we've had a very eventful morning. And of course,
I've had a
usual,
very eventful
Chris,
afternoon.
well,
Would you like
I'm
to see
so
where I
glad-
am, as you didn't ask me because you're so impolite?
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry because I know where you are. But yes, you're right. Where are you?
Well, I know
Chris?
where you are. Oh, I'm in sunny Scotland, and I'm actually sat outside. So if you look at that.
Wow, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Sat on the river in central Glasgow. It's lovely.
Wow, and you're wearing a t-shirt, and so it must not.
I've only
be
got
too
my
cold.
hood up to protect from the wind on the microphones.
Yeah, so it's like nice.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's a bit chilly. Or is it Chile?
It's a bit chilly. Oh, stop it! It's a bit chilly here today too. It rained last night all night, just like thunderstorming rain, and so it's kind of windy and cold here today. But I'm still wearing a t-shirt. I mean, t-shirt and shorts. So yeah, it's goodness, it's so good to be. You were saying that we haven't been doing this for as often as we did before, not twice a month. But I miss you guys. But it's true that it's been like so busy. I don't know if everyone is like this, but
I think the whole industry is at the moment.
So busy.
I think everyone is.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So we had a few issues uploading the intro, but before we get the real intro to introduce our guest, Chris, I need to know your shower thoughts. I look forward to these, and I want to know them. So please give them to me.
Well, as you know, I've been very busy, so I've been thinking a lot about work. So I've not got too many for you. I've only actually got two that I've had that we can have a little chat about. And I was thinking that a bomb diffuser is never aware when they've done a bad job. What a beautiful way of living. Like, everything's great all the time. I'm so good at my job. And then when you're not, never mind. And then my other one is with the new Batman movie with the new Batman movie having been released. I reckon that Batman only works at night. Otherwise, Bruce Wayne would have like a really telling tan line.
It's true. It's true. I totally agree because I mean it would just be horrible. Yeah, that. But
Because I
then
mean, if he had a beard, but then you can't have a beard and then shave it off to be clean shaven Batman. It doesn't
no,
work.
you can't. Yeah, but then again, we've been wearing masks for 2 years, and I don't think we have a
Batman with a medical
pandemic.
mask on. A pandemic.
I
No,
mean,
we
I
don't need a
don't.
pandemic, man.
No, but
We
I
don't need a
mean,
pandemic, man.
really, like I don't think I haven't seen pandemic tans. Like, I mean, I don't feel like I have
Oh,
a
2020.
pandemic tan.
I had the best tan of my life in 2020 because it was a really hot summer in England, and I got to sit out in the sun for
Yeah.
most of it. I was all
With
bronze
the mask
and
on.
no,
Yeah,
well, I
but
was in my
with your
back
mask
garden.
on?
No,
Yeah,
with my
but
back garden.
okay, so I'm saying with the mask.
Oh, you
like,
mean that? Yeah,
yeah.
loads of people. Yeah, we
Really?
saw Kelly wearing we saw Kelly with one. Hi,
I
Ryan
don't
Sam.
remember. Hey, Ryan, Sam. It's good to see you. Well, to talk to you and see that you're here. Thank you for listening in. Tell us where you're calling in from. Just like I'm from Uruguay, and Chris is in Scotland, which I'm not doing right. I know.
Do you want to call it Glasgow?
No, I'll call it Glasgow. Glasgow.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, Glasgow.
Oh, dear.
I'm in Glasgow. Glasgow. It's like a glass cow,
And then you're in Uruguay.
And I'm in Uruguay. Uruguay.
On that note, should we roll the intro and get our guest in? Because I feel like he's waiting in the wings for way too long.
He's been waiting in the wings way too long. We started out late, and I know that he's just so excited to be on the show, and we are so excited to have him. So let's throw in the intro in the middle of the tro. The middle tro. Welcome!
I'm finally out of the backstage area. I was holding my breath the whole time, you guys.
I can only imagine. I'm sure. Welcome to Unsung Heroes, Kevin. So cool to
We've
have
been
you.
waiting
Thanks,
for
Chris.
you with bated breath.
Yes, open arms, bated breath, even dog breath, but we'll talk about that later.
Speak for yourself, Cynthia. Speak for yourself.
No, that's something you missed. We'll have to talk about that later because Kelly and Sarah, our producers, decided that we all had to look like that we all resembled a dog breed, and we were talking about those dog breeds in the pre-show, but we'll share that later on if we get to it.
You won't believe which one is Chris.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. But first, Kevin, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us and for being an unsung hero. Please tell us who you are and why you're here, because I have no idea. No, I'm joking. Please tell us why you're here.
So I'm here because Kelly Bailey reached out to me. Is that a good enough answer?
Well, if Kelly does, yes.
Well,
what do you do that got you here? That's it.
So my name is Kevin Kalbfeld. I'm a theme entertainment designer. Primarily, I work in 3D. That was my way of communication. I create 3D renderings, concept art, as well as VR walkthroughs, fly-throughs, ride-throughs. That was a big thing for me. Was like I was doing 3D for so long, and then I said, you know what? I really love to show people what this is going to look like when we one day build it, and found that during my time at Universal, we really didn't have a strong VR pipeline. So I made that my mission. So now I'm able to market myself as someone who not only creates buildable models, but I also can bring you through them in VR. And I love doing that kind of stuff. I'm trying to make something that looks as realistic as to what it will be opening day, so we can make sure that we make something that not only opens properly but sustains for the decades after it exists. I've loved theme entertainment since I was 16 years old. I've been a member of TEA since I was 17, and just love this industry. Just love it, you guys.
Wow, 17.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's
it
really,
was.
I mean, wow.
My first TEA event was in Santa Monica at the 3rd Street Promenade, that mall at the very end of it. There's like a bar up top.
Right.
And I remember I was still getting used to driving, and it was far away from where my parents lived in Southern California. So I asked my mom to come with me, who had knee surgery the next day, and said yes, even though she had her knee wrapped up. So she drives with me all the way down to Santa Monica. She's like, fine, just leave me in the parking lot. I'll read a book while you go to this mixer. And there's dweeby little 17-year-old Kevin going up to this thing like, I don't know if there's anyone to be here. It's a bar. Am I even allowed in? I don't know. So I walk in, and I saw, a lot of different folks that, of course, I'd never met. I saw 2 guys with WDI name tags, and I was like, oh, I know that. Like, that's something that I recognize. I started talking with them, and one of them is Mike. I'm forgetting his last name, but he works at Animax now. I saw him at IAPA, and then the other one is, oh my god, I shouldn't have even brought it up if I can't remember the names. It's one of those things of like, you wait 5 minutes and you remember it later. So halfway through Cynthia talking about dogs, I'll just shout it out. So
Kelly is saying Mike West.
Oh, no, it was not Mike West. If I met him at my first TEA mixer, I would have been too afraid to come back. His voice, that booming power of God, that resonates through the entire room. No, seriously, though, Mike is
Wait, was I there?
Mike is a dear friend of our family.
I was going to say, you're talking to 2 people, Kevin, that have the most voice, huge booming voices. You can always hear where Cynthia and I are at a TEA event.
Oh, my God.
Sarah. Oh, I was at Sarah's first TEA event. Yes, we got drunk singing German drinking songs.
Oh my god, you guys
at Center Parks. That was so much fun.
Oh my god.
We were roommates. We were roommates on that event.
They were roommates. Does anyone get that reference to the Vine?
No.
Oh yes, I did. I'm sorry. I got it.
And they were roommates.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Kelly's like Mike Ziegler.
Event.
It's true. It's true. Well, wait. Oh no, you cannot. Yeah, I remember my first TEA event.
Now I'm scared. What?
No, it was. It's all coming. Yeah, exactly. It's all coming back to me. It was at Europa Park. And I remember I was sitting at this terrace, this patio where I didn't know what the TEA actually I didn't know what the TEA was, and there was this event 2 hours away from my home, and so I went to Europa Park, and there was this chick that was sitting next to the clean your mouth, sweetheart. Clean your. There you go, baby. There.
The camera's backwards. I haven't shaved in way too long, and there's too much head on my beer. Anyway, you were saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, I sat down. This girl was visibly alone, and I don't know. She looked like someone that was a TEA member. So I just sat down and we started talking, and no one else was coming. And then I looked around and I saw this table with a bunch of people, and I thought that maybe is the TEA people. And so I went up to someone who looked like they were, I don't know, they had like a pin, and they looked like someone that was like an official TEA person. Turned out to be Paul Kent. And I went up to him and I said, hi, is this the TEA? And he's like, yeah, come sit down. And then I met my second family, and I had a wonderful time.
It's anyway. So welcoming. That was I remember I was going to the University of Arizona first for architecture because I definitely wanted to get into theme parks, and I just thought architecture is cool. U of A, I was in Southern California, so U of A was relatively close by. They had a few teams who won the Imaginations competition, so I thought, okay, like there's something going on there that's interesting to get into the industry. And I was visiting California with some of my Arizona friends for spring break, and we stayed at the Disneyland Hotel for a night and did the parks. And I had known of the Theas. Like I knew that they were going on. I could not afford a ticket. And so I just like one morning before everyone was up, I walked over to just like look around, and I was stopped by Kathy Oliver, and she said, "Hi, are you supposed to be here?" I'm like, yet again, like, do we need Kevin? I'm just like, oh no, I just I'm a TA member. I'm a next gen because like next gen had like just started at that point. And I said, I wanted to go to the event, but I couldn't really get a ticket. And she clearly took some grand pity on me because she pulled me aside and was like, well, we'll just give you a ticket to the summit day tomorrow, and stick around if you want to like check out the gala too. And I was just like, oh my god, okay. So it was amazing because it was so open and welcoming. And there, I think I was probably the youngest person there. And I think they just thought, that's so amazing. Like this young person wants to get into the industry. It was the year that Joe Rohde was getting his Buzz Price Award. So like, I remember I got in the next day. I borrowed my dad's blazer to look, professional. That was like 3 sizes too big. And I go into the event, and there's like at the very front of the first summit day is Joe Rohde, John Breckow, and then an open seat. And I just am like, oh, I guess I'm sitting there. And so I sit down there, and there's Joe like scribbling on a napkin angrily about why the Yeti can't be fixed. Like it felt like it was something out of a podcast. Like I couldn't believe it was actually happening. He's like sketching the Yeti and the structure under. He's like I can't really draw well, but this is why the thing doesn't work, and this is why we have to get it fixed, and how we would get it fixed. And I just was like staring, and I think they caught me staring. And I just looked over. I said, "Oh, by the way, congratulations on your Buzz Price Award. It's really wonderful." And he's like, "Oh, thanks." He's like, "I don't know if I really deserve it." And I just was like, "Of course you do. My God."
Yeah, you're like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah, he's the nicest guy, and he's gives his little talk because his big talk was later at the gala, but the summit day he gave a talk, and then as he comes off stage, he walks off. I went out to get a coffee, and I see him talking with someone, and I thought, oh, like I'd love to have a further conversation with him about anything. And so I went over to him as he was talking to someone else, and I said, "Hey, Mr. Rohde, I'd love to continue our conversation a little bit more, just to learn a little bit more about what you do and how you approach things." And he was like, "Oh, of course." So I walk off, and I'm sitting nearby, like this, staring, waiting, like trying to figure out whether the conversation is going to end, and then. Because I'm thinking he's gonna forget. He's like a very he's sought after at this event. He's gonna forget. And I'm looking over my notes from the previous talks, and I hear him say, "Now where's that young man that I was supposed to speak to?" And he stands up, he sees me, he walks over to me, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to talk? Let's just chat right over here." And so he and I talked for like an hour about just like guest flow and good design mentality. And also he told me, if you want to get a lot of projects under your belt in this industry, don't start at Disney. Like that was great advice, because he said, well, he's like, my first projects were at Disney, but they all took so long to get done. We're in a different industry now. If you like, it's all about how many projects you can get on the resume and how many things you can talk about. So he's like, honestly, I would advise you going to a place like a Universal or a BRC or these smaller companies that get projects done a lot quicker. And that was some of the best advice. Yeah.
Universal, a smaller company.
He was like, I admire Universal because they get stuff done so quickly. He said, honestly, go there if you want to get like Disney level projects on your resume done a lot faster. And so I thought that was great advice. I was so happy with that. Like, yet again, just to show, like, and then it was what Doug Barnes they had just started the Season Pass podcast, and he like calls me over and he's like, hey kid, you just talked to Rohde. How about you talk with us? And like, then I met Doug and all these other folks, and it was so freaking cool. And I was just like, I just thought, okay, these these are my people. Like I met so many wonderful folks at that event and through all of the other events, like Shelby Honey, who was the creative producer on Velocicoaster. She became my contact at Universal when I was trying to get in because we had met at the very first Next Gen event. So we were like in the group of like 6 or 7 first Next Gens, and we're like the 2 that are still in the industry. So it's this amazing little family that like that never stops growing. It's so inclusive and so wonderful, and everyone is just so willing to talk about what they do because everyone is incredibly passionate. That is the thing I found about theme entertainment. Is it's no coincidence that everyone in the industry is incredibly passionate. It's because it's so specified that you have to work really, really, really hard to hit that mark. And because of that hard work and dedication goes alongside with passion. Because if you didn't have that passion, you try something else. Not that you like give up and do something else. There's other creative fields that are just as difficult, but you have to love this so much to stick with it for as long as we do. That when you talk to people about theme entertainment, it's not like talking to someone about any other job. We love talking about it because we love what we do.
Yeah, there's a designer that I've worked with quite a few times, and I shan't name drop because I'll probably get in trouble. But he said about me to one of my colleagues, says that the trouble and the best thing that Chris has to offer is his tantrums. Because I'm quite well known for having tantrums on site where I can see what the design is and what it should be, but it's been something along the way has gone awry. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it to the drawing. I don't want to build this to the drawing. I want to get the creative vision correct. And he goes, yes, you have to put up with Chris effing and blinding and screaming and shouting and being rude to everyone and calling them every name under the sun for about 30 seconds until he gets his way. Then he puts it in where he wants it, and then it looks like it should look. And I'm like, exactly. And that's the kind of, I mean, I tend to find that my passion ends up being almost detrimental to clientele because I'm like, no, you're wrong. Please
I've never found that. Right. Like we were on the TA Next Gen board together for a while, and I was always you know what, Chris is the type of person who's outspoken and gets things done. It's just you find the people that you gel with, and the people who will put up with you are the ones who get the most out of you. Mm. So keep
everyone just part with me, please.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin. That was very nice of you.
I'm ever the optimist.
It really is what I love about this industry, how helpful everyone is, and even if you get like I mean, of course TEA is part of it, but even, I mean, I work with IAPA too, and even with IAPA and it just, this whole industry is so filled with people that want to help other people. It's such a caring industry.
But then what are we doing?
What's amazing is that it's an industry that makes a shitload of money. You know, I mean, there's a lot of money in this, and there are some really, really well-known people, and everyone is just so down to earth and so real, and I love this industry.
I think the whole industry is passionate about looking after each other, because all of our focus as a unit is on little Timmy the visitor or big Tammy the visitor, and trying to make them have a nice happy time and like enjoy or engage in something. So we all want to enjoy and engage in each other as well, because that's how you make something feel like I don't know, a family attraction, not just a family attraction, an interest attraction. An attraction.
Well, the moment you forget about the guest is when you've truly become lost in the industry, because my boss is not my manager. My boss is not the director of the project or the owner of the company. My boss is the guest, because another sidetrack into something that I love doing is out here in Orlando, in the town over Kissimmee, we have the Give Kids the World Village. And so for anyone watching the stream who doesn't know, Give Kids the World Village is this wonderful village where kids in their children with terminal illness or just some sort of very critical illness can stay for 7 days with their entire family and extended family if they want. It's this beautiful, completely ADA compliant village that is themed out to be a magical fantasy wonderland. But also, we get donations from Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, Legoland for theme park tickets. Oh, thank you for the Give Kids the World Village. And so these kids and their families get 7 days of theme park access. That's front of the line, rental car, flights paid for, food paid for, and they just have this amazing time. I'm actually an ambassador for it. I'm a tour guide for the village, as well as someone who, like before COVID, would be able to go out and talk to different companies about coming in and volunteering themselves. But the reason I got to that level was because I was going in on days where, my favorite shift was to do the shuttle driving, because it's a huge village. So you take this like super duper golf cart around the village and pick people up and drop them off where they got to go. And I picked up this family who I got a call that, hey, family over at the Banyan Park needs a pickup to the ice cream shop. So I pick them up. It's a dad and his kid. And I drive them over to the ice cream shop, and they get 2 little ice cream, banana splits. And I got to rush them back to their Banyan Park, which is like the furthest place from the ice cream shop, to get them back to the family so they can get the ice cream before it melts. And so I'm like, okay, wonderful. We have this mission, this awesome mission. And I get them back. And then about 20 minutes later, I get another call from the same exact family. I go and pick them up. And I was like, what? Did you need more? Like, of course we needed more. There's also really cool ice cream shop that just opened on the premises. That's just, it's themed to, it's like space themed. It's really cute. But this time, getting there, we had a little bit more time to chat. And I was talking with the family, and I was like, how was your day? And they said, oh, we went to Universal Studios today, which, while I was working at Universal Creative, always gave me such joy to ask, what was your favorite ride? Like, what was your favorite thing to do? And this little boy told me this story. He said they were in line to meet Optimus Prime. They had like the front of the line access. They got in to meet Optimus Prime. And his sister, who had the critical illness, she had an issue with her oxygen pack. And he was like, and everyone handled everything really well, but the brother was most proud that he was able to help out. He saw what was going on, helped out, and he was the one who saved his sissy, as he told me. And he was so proud of that fact. And so often we think of these being situations that these kids are in that detract from a good day at the park. But in fact, these familial units have so much love for themselves and for each other that this child's highlight of the day was that he saved his sister, and Optimus Prime called him a hero. So, like, that was the coolest thing. And I just thought, oh my gosh, like, I'm going in tomorrow, and I gotta make this place awesome for him and his sister and his mom and his dad, because they may only have one time. It's got to be good. It's got to be really, really good, so that they can have that type of experience. So anyone from Theme Entertainment, please, if you come to Orlando, spend an extra day, go to the village, check it out, because it was the greatest reminder of who I actually work for.
Wow. Wow, that just like gave me chills. Thank you so much.
And I'll tell you, like, that's you hear so many stories like that. That's
Exactly.
just one of my favorites.
Crying now. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. It's good. It's good that we get to. I mean, geez, we get to cry out of joy. That happens so often in this industry that we're so happy that we love so much what we do. We're so happy with what we do, and we see. That's the thing, is that we are able to see how much our work is having an effect on people's lives. And it can be, I mean, I do words, and when I'm in an attraction that I worked on, and I see people laughing, or hear people laughing, or hear people at the stupid little joke that I decided to write because I felt like, I don't know, writing it, and it just it came to, okay, I'm gonna do, oh, that's a funny joke, and people actually laughing at my joke. And I mean, that is like, I don't need drugs. I mean, we in this industry, we do not need drugs. We've got the rushes. We've got that feeling of so much effect that we can have on this world, you know. And it's I love that crying out of joy. I'm in Latin America, and I didn't know I was in front of this beautiful scenery in Argentina, and it was just mind-blowingly beautiful. And I didn't know how to say I'm crying out of joy, and so I said it's raining in my eyes, but I'm happy, because I didn't know how to say crying.
If I can get, like, that's always my goal. If I can get a guest to laugh or cry out of joy, that's the best thing we can do. I've yet to make someone cry, but I think that the entertainment team is so much better at making people cry than the attraction designers. And it's because they have better intimacy with their guests. Like, you go to Ghost Town Alive, and that is at Knott's Berry Farm. That's an amazing immersive experience in a theme park. Like, people cry at that show because of how much they care about those characters. And I feel like it's so difficult to get that on a ride. But if I could one day drive a guest to happy tears, that would make me a lot. That checks something off the list.
Yeah.
I think one of my first. Sorry, Cynthia. Carry on.
No, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, one of my first things that I ever did with the TEA was a webcast episode for TEA Next Gen of what I do in the industry, and I didn't tell it. I was telling the story of my favorite project that I've ever been part of, and decided that the best way to tell that story is to not tell my experience of it, but to tell. And I called him Little Timmy, because I watched one kid. I promised myself on the opening event, just before the opening, they had as they do, a school group come through and experience what's going on. So this was a 4D theatre in it was called the Capitol Theatre in Fort Edmonton in Canada, in Edmonton, Canada. And I'd watch the kids all walk in, not obviously not in a creepy way, Cynthia. Get your mind out the gutter, weirdo. But I picked on this one little boy who looked just so excited to be there, and he didn't even know what he was going to go and see. And then he walked through there's like a pre-show reception area with it's all themed to 1920s, I think. And it's all going to be a talkie. It's going to be, I did that outside of the frame, a talkie. So they're going to go and see a black and white slide projector film. And it gives you a pre-show. It's a little bit like the Hollywood Tower of Terror pre-show before you get to the elevators. And they're stood in the lobby, and this kid's looking up, and he's just beaming, smiling. I won't do it because I've got terrible teeth. I'm British. Looking round, he's smiling. He's super happy. And then he walks through the sort of staging bit, and then down into the theatre and into the seats. And it starts with a black and white 4x3 rolling, almost square image, with a slide projector ticking behind you, and you're sort of looking at 1920s Edmonton at the time. And then as it gets to winter, it starts freezing over, and then colour starts coming out, and then the lighting goes around the room, and it projects ice all around the room. And then the screen freezes, and then there's this thunderous thud. Like we built sub-bass speakers into the stage, bolted into the concrete, so it shook the building. Wow. And then had as the ice broke, it just thuds. And then butt kickers in every seat. We call them butt kickers, but there's a speaker that's attached to the back of the seat, and you get like a vroom, and your seat goes. And he leapt out of his seat, laughing. And he's looking at the seat, and he kept touching it to go and sit down, and didn't know if it was safe. And I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen." And I'm stood up in the projection window, looking down out of the audience, just looking at this one particular kid who's having the time of his life for like a 10-minute show. And I'm like, that's what we all do our jobs for, in my opinion, in this industry. It's like that reaction is exactly what you need.
What we do inherently speaks to a very visceral part. Or what we do is so visceral that it speaks to a very, I want to say like instinctual part in humans. The reason like visual literacy is so important in our industry is because we're telling the story to people of so many cultures and languages and places that when we do something like a butt kicker in a seat, no matter where that kid's from, that will still elicit the same level of delight because it is purely a visceral experience. And what we do is create visceral experiences, which is why I think we get, like Cynthia's saying, you don't need drugs in this industry because we recognize that joy in other people. And because we as human beings have the ability to empathize, we look at that and we feel so much joy from it. We see a child get excited by it, we feel that joy. We feel that pure, unbridled joy. And it means so much to us because we know what it feels like to firsthand feel that joy and to have given that to someone. I always say, whenever we're talking about a client or a guest, I don't think of deliverables. I think of gifts. I say, I want to be able to give a gift. And at the end of the day, the gift that I want to be able to give the guest is, one, importance, making them feel like they're important in this story, and delight.
Perfect.
Yeah. I just sent a message in our private chat to our producers to say timestamp, because I love what we're trying to get together the best of moments of this show, and
yeah, the best comments that anyone's come out with.
Yeah. Damn, that is beautiful, and it's exactly why we do what we do, and I love that visceral. It is a visceral reaction, and across cultures, across ages, across languages, and that is, I think that is what makes a great attraction. Is that whatever your age, whatever language you speak, whatever culture you come from, the best attractions will be those attractions that just cross those barriers and that create an emotion. Jesus, Chris, I mean, we were talking about this week for the IEPA education session. I think we're like on it right there. That is just incredible.
I've always been really interested in the psychology, because actually when I was 16, there were two professional paths that I wanted to go down, either be a theme park designer or a psychologist. Those were just two things that really weirdly interested me. And I realized theme parks were a way that I could still, later on in theme park design, I realized why I liked it so much. It's because it speaks to people on such a deep emotional level. And so I find I'm reading less and less design books and more books about psychology and like the origin of communication. And the more and more I get it, actually, this is a plug for my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel where a puppet version of me talks about theme park designs as almost as if it's like I'm inspired by Sesame Street and Jim Henson. Absolutely love. I have nothing bad to say about Sesame Street. I love the Muppets. Sesame Street puppets are a huge inspiration for me and how to tell stories. And so I was originally going to be doing a talk at SATE. I was talking with some people at TEA originally to possibly do a talk with one of my friends from Universal about how video game design and theme park design are actually very, very similar. And the more and more we would talk about that, I kept thinking back to Henson and Sesame Street, and I thought that's not necessarily, SATE isn't necessarily the platform that I want for this, because I believe that this education should be free and accessible to everyone. So when I started to think about these scripts and I started making these videos, I realized I wanted this topic to be on YouTube. So I took my puppet, did the thing. I made it visually accessible. I made it accessible in the script. And also I'm a 3D designer. So I do all of these 3D animations to show what I'm talking about. For example, one of them is the first episode is about the amazing adventures of Spider-Man. And the whole breakdown is not just of how they did the effects. There's countless videos on, how squinching and 3D and works on an attraction. But I talk about specifically the psychological pacing that is being played upon the guests as they go through the ride to elicit certain visceral emotional reactions. So certain things like the one element that I focus on is if you guys are familiar with the attraction, there's this gravity gun. There's this anti-gravity gun that Doc Ock invents, which is not something from the show or the comic books or any of the movies, but it was something that was purely designed to be able to build up to the visceral experience of flight, which breaks from the guest's recognition of what the Scoop ride vehicle can do, so that at the very end of the ride, the only emotional climax that you can get from that is the vehicle doing something that breaks from the guest's preconceived notions of what that vehicle can do, which was flight and then the climactic fall back down to the ground. That's just one of the elements that I talk about in the video, but so much of it comes down to psychology, and even considering the Joseph Campbell's hero's journey and putting the guest in that spot and thinking of how they progress through a narrative as a character. And then also magic tricks. Like the progression of a magic trick and a joke are very, very similar. There's a great book called What Are You Laughing At?, which really literally breaks down why jokes are funny. And that was a great one that I love to follow, because both the way you pull off a grand illusion like we do in theme parks and the way you pull off a joke end up kind of being similar in how you set up, you essentially have a climax to your narrative, and then the release, which is everyone laughing, or everyone being delighted, or everyone being scared, whatever that might be. At the end of the day, it's everyone emoting. It's getting a very, very specific emotional reaction out of someone without ever using words, with only using visuals. So the more and more I got into wanting to talk about that, I realized that this was my platform. I actually just started a TikTok where we're going through Mickey's 10 Commandments, which were made by Marty Sklar, and going through great examples and bad examples of each one, because I also feel like that's a great base education for a lot of theme park designers. And I want all of this stuff to be accessible, and I want to also have conversations around it.
Wow. I'm amazed.
I talked a lot, yeah.
I'm like this is so cool, because so the comment that we just got from, who was it, from Satria? I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I'm so sorry.
Satria. Yes, Satria.
One of my old
Satria?
students.
I mean, I think it's so cool that you're sharing this knowledge, and that skills, sharing your skills and transferring the knowledge that you have of this industry. I think is one of the greatest gifts that we can give to not just next gens, but to just everyone that is interested in this industry. And I mean, I copied the link to your YouTube channel, and yeah, that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. And
you talk about education. Sorry, go ahead, Cynthia.
No, I'll be checking that out. That's all I was going to say.
Are you going to be back where you were on Wednesday?
Yes.
Do you want to tell everyone watching where you were on Wednesday for our prep call? That I didn't even manage to.
You weren't even there, Chris.
No, I was dealing with what I can only describe as ultimate chaos. So yeah. I couldn't, in a place with no signal, so I had sent a text.
I was dealing with another kind of ultimate chaos.
Well, now you have to tell everyone. Now we're the only ones that are on the joke. Tell everyone, please.
Cynthia, did you have fun bags either side of your head?
All right. Okay. So, oh my goodness. All right. So I don't know if you can tell, but I am turning red. Just about as big as my t-shirt. So y'all know that I'm traveling in Latin America right now. I'm in Uruguay. And so part of
What'd you call me?
Part of my trip, yes. Part of my trip is also doing things that are totally outside of my comfort zone. Traveling alone is one of those things that, and I'm doing that constantly. So, and the whole idea is doing something outside of your comfort zone. That's where the magic happens. That's where things that are not planned and that you could never imagine happening will happen. And that's a good thing. And so I was looking, when I was looking for places to go in Uruguay, along the beach. Punta del Este was one of them, and I don't really like cities, so I was kind of looking for a smaller beach outside of the city, and I found this beach called Chihuahua. I love the name. I mean, the name was already sold. I was sold on the name, and then I realized that Chihuahua is a naturist. It's a nudist beach. And so
At what point did you realize this?
When she turned up and everyone looked at her proper weird.
no, I realized it. I knew it. Oh goodness, I knew it when I on Google you can tell there's if you guys Google Chihuahua Beach
Oh,
in
you didn't
Uruguay.
Google Earth and zoom in on a nudist beach,
Google
did
it with
you,
safe
Cynthia?
search on.
I did not zoom in, but I did Google Maps. This is how I choose my places. Is I go on Google Maps and I have certain criteria that I need. Like I need a studio, I need a sound studio. So there's a sound studio in Punta del Este because I do voiceovers and so I just there's like several different criteria and then I looked around the city I had chosen, and I found this Chihuahua beach, and the name attracted me, Chihuahua. I thought that was hilarious. And then I looked closer, and then I saw this hotel called El Refugio Nudist Hotel, and I was like, what? What? And then I found out that the beach was actually a nudist beach. Naturist is I don't know. Anyway, and nudist. And I was like, oh my god, that's totally outside of my comfort zone. I'm doing it. And so I got I got 5 nights in the El Refugio Naturist Hotel.
Like, I'm uncomfortable. I'm all in.
Yeah, but it's the whole deal of doing things that are outside of your comfort zone. And so it's like, okay, I've wanted to do this for a while. Like I've wanted to know what this is like. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And I get to the hotel to check in, and I swear to God, there was this guy naked, sitting at the bar drinking a beer, and I just was like,
What's the song? Shout, shout, let it flop out. These are the things I can do without. Come on.
Oh my God.
What?
Tears for Fears. What?
Oh. I didn't know those were the words.
I could no, it's not. No, it's let it all out. But I just couldn't.
Okay.
I couldn't miss it.
Oh my God! And so yes. When on Wednesday when we had our pre-show, I was at the beach and I was at the nudist beach and I was naked. But Kevin, you didn't see anything, right?
No, I did not. You were very classy as always, Cynthia. Very classy.
You don't know well enough.
Oh my God, it's so funny because when I take a taxi, when I take it like it's oh God, classy like a standard poodle. There we go. When I take a taxi, I don't even say what hotel I'm at. I don't even say that I'm at the El Refugio Naturist Hotel because I'm afraid that the taxi is going to be like, is she going to be naked in my car?
No, they're not going to think that. They're going to be like, okay, this bitch a weirdo. Because taxi drivers are never going to see naturism as a reasonable thing.
Oh my God! Oh, it's
You're like, don't worry, I brought my own seating pad.
Yeah. I've got myself a black garbage tarp.
I told a friend of mine where I was, and she said, Cynthia, you have got to read the book by David Sedaris called Naked. And so I obviously downloaded it right away on Audible, and it's even David Sedaris that reads it. It's, oh my God, it's fucking hilarious. And the whole chapter on Naked is just, oh my God, it's so true. It's so true and so real, and it's hilarious. And please watch that book. Read that book. or listen to them, whatever. Oh my goodness. So let's get back to I don't know why we're talking about Cynthia at a nudist beach. Whatever. Kevin. Kevin, you have
Yeah.
a let's get back to the serious stuff. Come on, man. What? It is
The
always
next one,
chaotic
I'll be at the
here.
nudist beach.
Always
Then Chris will be at the nudist beach. It's okay. We'll create a series.
No one wants to see me naked, mate. I can guarantee that.
Oh,
Says the guy who came in shirtless to a couple of PA calls.
That was in the summer of 2020 when it was too hot, and I was like, "You guys don't mind, do you?" It's not like I've got like tassels hanging from my nips or anything.
I was just like, when you walked in like that, I was like, "This is a power move I never knew could be played."
There was no power. It's just never mind. Like, who's going to care? I even asked actually. I text like 3 or 4 of the people beforehand. Like, I'm too hot. I can't actually. We don't have air conditioning in England, and I don't know what 30 degrees C is in Fahrenheit to translate it. But it's too hot to not have air conditioning, and I'm like, I just can't. I'm really sorry, everyone. Kelly says 95-ish.
Yeah, it's like 90. It's 95, 97.
Yeah, that's too
30?
hot to be 86.
No.
Sarah's basically gone and Googled that.
No.
That's too hot in England to not have air conditioning or anything.
No, I honestly, it was one of the first meetings that I had with Chris, and I was just like, this guy's so casual. Like that's cool. I was like, this guy's cool. I was just like, he's just so chill.
We're all friends. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no bits. Anyway, we were trying to talk about you, Kevin.
Yes, Kevin.
Okay.
You have given us a reel of the work that you've done. So let's get back on track and let's watch that reel.
Sure.
Kelly, Sarah, are you guys ready to throw that up? And so that we can see now that
Let's make the magic happen and such.
Let's make the magic happen.
There's no audio over it, so we can talk over it, right?
Oh yeah, we can carry on talking. You can give us a narrative.
Yeah,
you can do the voiceover.
In a world. So this is just the background animation. Like if you go to my website, kevinkalbfelddesigns.com, that's like my freelance portal. But if you go to my website, this is literally the animation that's on the homepage with like all the menu. There's just usually a menu in front of it. So these are all like my personal projects that I can actually talk about. These are the ones that I haven't collaborated with anyone on. These are just ones that I did in my free time to learn things. That's one from Semantics where I was talking about Spider-Man. I do like this interesting blueprint effect on all the animations. So outside of things these are all the things outside of the things that I can't show online. So this is what I do. A lot of these are in the Unreal Engine. I model in 3ds Max, Blender, SketchUp, Maya, Rhino, Revit, like whatever. That's the thing about theme entertainment. It's whatever needs to be done. Like you just, as a 3D designer, you just start to, does anyone know Revit? I will start tomorrow. You learn on the job so much. So a lot of these, those animations were made using a myriad of different 3D and 2D tools to make the visuals that you see here.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was a very, oh my gosh. I need to see if I can find some newer, I just don't do like ride design in my free time as much anymore. A lot of the stuff at the very beginning, like the car museum and the Zelda animation, those are ones that I do in my free time because I'm usually the underwater one too. That was one where it was like, it's very weird to do underwater in 3D. And I just thought, I want to learn how to do that. I want to give that a shot. So that's where that scene came from. And then the Zelda one was, I want to figure out how to do really good lighting with trees and particles and, using, there was essentially a new lighting tool that Unreal come out with. So each one of those is just like, let's see what I can do with this. So a lot of that is outside my theme park work, but generally with my freelance clients, they find how it's applicable to their own business. And that's the kind of stuff that, I get excited to make as a 3D artist.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a question in the chat that fits lighting. Sure. There. I can't get it out of. I'm just using my voice, and that's the one. Legend.
Need to work.
Cynthia, you can read that quicker than I can out loud.
So, how often do you find the opportunity to work with lighting designers to create these VR walkthroughs that are lit accurately with programs such as, I won't pronounce that, WYSIWYG or Vectorworks Spotlight? Are there any other disciplines, technical, mechanical, or otherwise, that would integrate into this pipeline?
Short answer is no. I very rarely get to work with lighting designers until it comes down to the last minute. That's just a shame of our industry, is that lighting designers aren't consulted until the last minute on something. I did, however...
nor AV teams either. That's always an afterthought.
It's always an afterthought. And that's something that I pride myself on as a 3D designer, where a lot of people there's a lot of people who come from animation that will make stuff that looks good but really can't be built. I always try and figure out those areas for all of the spaghetti of things that the guest should never see. And so when it comes to lighting design, I don't know of anyone who has done that type of integration for theme parks specifically. I know that I had a conversation with Lisa Green over at Visual Terrain a while ago about trying to integrate that stuff. I think they may have gotten too busy to start figuring out that pipeline, but I would also say, look at Visual Terrain, because they have some of the most forward-thinking lighting design folks in the entire industry. And also Lisa and David are just wonderful, talented, well-spoken, and incredibly impactful theme entertainment designers.
Wow. Well, I wanted to ask you, one of the questions that we sometimes ask our guests is, what are the challenges that you have faced in this industry?
A lot. Everyone has challenges. There's never anything that's like perfect. But I think one of the biggest challenges has been, especially as a 3D designer, the biggest challenge has been trying to convince someone to present to executives or clients exactly what we're making. So often we fluff up, or people are asked to fluff up 3D models and make them look a lot prettier than whatever we're actually making, or we're told not to consider things that we know will become thorns in our side down the pipeline. A big one that I had at Universal was, like I said, I'm a multidisciplinary designer I've done BIM before, as well as full-on character animation for media. Like, it's in this gamut, I have an understanding of how to make something look really good, but also practically communicate it to other disciplines who need to be able to make the thing work. And so often, a big challenge has been trying to convince executive leaders that, hey, this 3D model, this can be built. We worked with all the other disciplines and it can be built. Because I think very often the last generation, or the generation before that, of designers who first started seeing 3D as a part of the general pipeline for large theme park projects saw it as primarily a presentation tool, more so than an actual practical design tool. So I would say from the 3D end, that's been one of the difficulties. Another difficulty in general is working with teams who don't understand the core values of a brand or intellectual property and how to accurately consider those being applied to theme entertainment design. So sorry, I'm distracted by this by the chat so much.
Sorry.
I usually don't look at it just to not even get disengaged. But so like a big thing is, I've worked on projects before where there's an IP or something being used that oh no, Jeremy Grunner's in the
Jeremy.
Okay. So someone talking about highly coordinated 3D models. Look no further than the Frank End Designs, if I can give them a plug as well. Yeah, another thing is not having a full understanding of the core values of an intellectual property or even the story you're trying to tell. I see so often a misfire, very often at the very beginning of a project, lead to a domino effect. So at the very end, there's a team, usually AV or lighting, or someone who's picked up at the end of the line to try and pick up the pieces and turn it into something that can be enjoyed by guests. And I think a lot of time, if we spent a lot more time and energy at the beginning of a project trying to figure out exactly what the core values of our project were and how they align to what we can actually accomplish with theme entertainment design, I think we would be able to miss a lot of those issues at the very end of a project that usually are the ones that take the most budget. I mean, Jeremy's a great person to attest to how many times that happens.
Mm.
You always distract me, Jeremy. Always distracting.
But it's not just me that distract you in the comments and private chats.
Mm.
Oh my God. Oh, it's craziness. This place is crazy. Unsung Heroes is the crazy place. But yeah, so that's I mean it's always interesting to hear about the hypothetical madness that we are all um, faced with. Is there like one lesson that you that you've learned that you'd like someone that is listening to benefit from?
I think there's a lot of lessons. I mean, that's the thing. As an artist and a designer, you're always learning. And I think one of the bigger lessons that was imparted to me when I was at Universal was definitely always keep the guest in mind. Like always be thinking of, like we were talking about, who's at the end of the line, and really always consider them. And that goes down to, this is like an old Joe Brody talk, but that goes down to even the doorknob. Like how does this affect the guest? Because it's something like when I put my hand on this desk, how does it feel? Does it feel warm? Is it made of wood and it's warm? Is it metal? Is it cold? Those are the little itty bitty things that you need to put into your experience to be able to translate to a guest on a subconscious level what narrative you're trying to push in their direction and how they are supposed to feel. So that's one major lesson for all designers that everyone needs to consider. And I think eventually when you work in theme entertainment long enough, you start to think of all of those things. But usually any like front end designers who are, usually 3D, that's something that I feel everyone needs to have their mind in. Also, always be open to input from others. Like I've had, everyone in this industry, like I said, is incredibly passionate, and a lot of them are pretty smart. And the beauty of this industry, the absolute beauty of this industry, is that we are not all the kid who went to Disneyland and wanted to go there or wanted to like design that for the rest of our lives. In fact, I really love the opportunity that I've had to collaborate with people that did not have the theme park trajectory that I had, but really love doing great experience design work. I've worked with folks before that get frustrated when there are people who don't get our industry or who don't know the great history of theme entertainment design. But I truly believe that when we have a more eclectic team trying to complete a project, we find way better solutions than just looking at the past and seeing what's happened already. Because if you look at things like even like the Galactic Star Cruiser, regardless of some of the feedback some of the like negative press that I've seen it have, I am so glad that someone took a swing at that, and I'm glad it was on a Disney budget. I'm really glad to see that someone did Evermore, even though that one is also having its own share of difficulties. But these things should have difficulties. These things should have an eclectic team with a diverse background who are trying to make something that is interesting. Because if I keep seeing the people who look and sound like me in this industry, we're not going to come up with the best stuff because the solutions are ever changing. The world is ever changing. We need more people from all different types of professional and social backgrounds to be able to come to the table and have an equal voice. And also, if there were other people in the room just like me, I would lose my mind. I can't hear myself talk for that long.
Yeah, I think, I mean, in the comments in our private chat, we're just like, this is just the truth. It's what you're saying is so true, and it's like this in every single industry. When you get this, everyone is speaking the same language and everyone is saying the same thing, and no one is coming to challenge the status quo. No one is coming to say, well, have you thought about this? And and so you're looking at it through the same angle. You're looking at a prism uh, at the same angle. When I mean it's a fucking prism, so you can take it from every single angle, and there's
Absolutely.
different light, and if you don't bring different people to the table, you're just never ever ever going to get the different colors that you can get
Oh
from.
yeah, and that's why I full disclosure, I'm a SCAD graduate. I was in production design and had theme entertainment design minor. And a big thing that I can tell, because I know there's a lot of SCADdies, there's people coming out of the Carnegie Mellon program as well. It's a great program. A lot of these wonderful theme entertainment programs that have popped up all over the world. It's really great to be able to have a base of theme entertainment designers that you know and can become friends with. But that was one big learning for me leaving college was don't just talk to theme entertainment designers. Don't still go to the TEA events, learn. But it's not about it's not about just solidifying yourself within that world. It's about bringing more great people to the table. My biggest heartbreak is when I hear someone has quit their job in theme entertainment and has gone to pursue some other sort of creative development in another industry. One of my best friends actually quit Universal after the pandemic and started working for a gaming company. And I was so happy for him because it's a job he wants to do. It made him a lot happier, but it really broke my heart that this wasn't the right industry for him, or that he wasn't at the right place for it, or wasn't feeling like he was being celebrated for how good he is at what he does. And so that always breaks my heart because I feel like my whole goal has been to just find other people, bring them to the table, amass this amazing group of eclectic people that I can always call on whenever I need help or when I need input. And I just love knowing that all of our mission is to just bring more people to the table.
Yeah, exactly. Setting an infinite table.
Setting an infinite table.
It's so true. It's so true.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's.
We're gonna have to refer back to that. We're gonna have to refer back to that in later episodes, and they can join Kevin's infinite table.
Exactly.
I would love that. I mean, I have mine that's constantly growing. There was in the check-in that we had earlier this week for this meeting, I was asked who is one of your unsung heroes, and it took me a second, not because I couldn't think of one. It was because I have many. There are many people in this industry who are working to make it absolutely amazing, and either don't want the credit, or maybe sometimes just don't get it. In the intro, I started just quickly writing down some of the people who came to mind. I think I amassed a list of 20 folks. Oh my God. So just there's some great people that all of you need to think about, which is okay. So the number one was Iris Shayu. She was an associate producer over at Universal Creative. She worked with me on a project I did for USJ, but the biggest thing about her is that she anything that you've seen with Cool Japan, which in my opinion is one of the coolest things that Universal has ever done, which is the seasonal entertainment that goes on at Universal Studios Japan, which usually takes a culturally significant icon or story and does overlays throughout the park, specifically Japanese stories, and does overlays throughout the park. One of my favorite things is I was a big Case Closed fan when I was growing up, and they did a Case Closed escape room. They did a Sailor Moon show in the 3D theater at one point. Every year, they'll always do cool things. I think this year was Monster Hunter, which is an anime, and it was really, really cool how they did the overlay for space fantasy. And so Iris was the person who made that happen for years, and that was one of the favorite things that most people had of Universal Creative and what Universal Creative could do when it was really at its best. So I give her a lot of props. I guess some other folks like Shelby Honey and Greg Hall, who worked on Velocicoaster, the producer and the creative director, respectively. Just amazing mentors, great people. I mean, they're not really as unsung now. They've gotten a lot of love from working on that project. And and I loved working with them. They're just absolutely wonderful human beings, and they did like. You want to look at like projects that just that knew how to make a good guest experience with everything that was being thrown at them. Velocicoaster is one of them. And similarly, like Jeremy's on the call. He's also a little less unsung just because he's been on the show. And he's also a Blue Loop Top 50 as well. He's another person who just like, yeah. So
congratulations, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we don't need to talk about him anymore because he's sung now. He's another one of those people.
It's Kevin's turn. It's Kevin's turn. Let's all vote for Kevin on Blue Loop's top 50.
He did a great job on Hagrid's. He and that team did a great job pulling out the core of what that attraction should be. Another person on my short list is Kathy Dixon. Have you guys had Kathy Dixon on the show?
No.
Oh my goodness! So Kathy Dixon is an incredible theme entertainment designer with a mechanical engineering background and an amazing project manager. Kelly said, "Oh, yes, she's the other host on A Day in the Life with Kelly." But Kathy is an absolutely wonderful human being, an amazing designer. Marcel Santos, who is an art director over at Disney Live Entertainment, just finished up with the Galactic Star Cruiser. Just great person, dear friend. And just a hell of an artist, like the kind of guy who can lead a team, but then also stays up late to make the art when his team is being burnt out because he knows that he can take that on. Also, a plug for she's my partner, Erin McCullum, but she's absolutely one of the greatest illustrators that I've ever worked with, if not the greatest illustrator that I've ever worked with. We met at Universal Creative. She blew my mind with her artwork. I was just so amazed. I loved collaborating with her, and I still do to this day whenever I have the opportunity to, whether it be collaborating on art that we've both been contracted to do, or even our house, which we fully renovated, redid, designed, put down all this flooring ourselves. So that was like our big project last year. But she's another unsung hero who I adore and love, not only as a person but as an artist. I feel like it's not helpful for me to go down the list. I've got like so many. I could just like post them in the comments or something.
Kelly's just started fangirling in the private.
Oh, John Hayden! I mentioned John Hayden the other day. John Hayden was my show set counterpart on a Universal Studios Japan project and on our Epic Universe project. He was one of the lead show set designers for Volcano Bay. Like so much of Volcano Bay, anything that you see in that park, John Hayden had his hands on, to the point that he was up late watching, like, he would always tell me this story. He's up late watching Pokemon Indigo League and Dragon Ball Z while he's doing the big bar boats that are all over Volcano Bay, to the point that, like, in his drawings, he would, like, hide a little Polynesian Pokeball or, like, a little Dragon Ball. So if you go into the park, a few of the boats have, like, a little hidden Pokeball, a little hidden Dragon Ball. And those are, like, the hidden John Haydens around Volcano Bay. But he's over at Thinkwell actually right now. He's another amazing person. Caitlin Martens is another one who I really love, who's over at I think she's either full-time or freelancing with JRA right now. She's freelancing. Everyone else, like, get to her. She's an amazing 3D designer, show set designer, and just an all-around amazing human being, great personality, just a really fun person to collaborate with. I'm just going to go down my list of love, but we can move on to something else. It's okay. We can circle back to this. I'll send you the list, and then you guys just pull them all up.
We'll publish it later.
Do this. We'll invite everyone on your list to be on the Unsung Heroes show. Put it that way.
Yes,
all right?
I like that. Works for me.
We do have a few questions in the comments. Our first question is from Satria. Is Blender 3D as prevalent as 3ds Max Maya for themed entertainment?
It is becoming that. So 3ds Max and Maya, I think we've had this talk before, actually. And I had it in my class. Yeah, so 3ds Max and Maya, there's this divide that I started to see for 3D designers with 3ds Max and Maya. So if you go to Universal, they will primarily say that they are a 3ds Max family. That may have changed. I haven't been there in a couple of years, but I know a lot of the design leads there started with 3ds Max and CAD. And so that's your bread and butter. Disney is Maya, because Disney primarily works with Industrial Light and Magic to do it. Like all of Star Wars Land or Galaxy's Edge was in collaboration, done in collaboration with ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, for all their assets, and they do a lot of designs in Maya. So I know Disney is very Maya heavy, Universal is very 3ds Max heavy. But that being said, Blender is becoming more and more prevalent within the like smaller circles of the industry. I know Disney Live Entertainment is using a lot of Blender. AOA also, they put out a job search for someone the other day. I don't remember what the position was, but they primarily asked for Blender over all other 3D programs. So Blender is amazing. I'd highly recommend starting to learn it, because it's like what SketchUp was for a lot of us a couple years ago, where it was a free software that was open to anyone. You can all jump in and try new things and learn, get your feet wet in 3D design. Blender is the same exact way now. And more companies are taking it seriously, because it is an incredibly robust 3D design software with its abilities to not only render, but also to model and animate. So highly recommend any 3D designer also looking into using Blender.
Yeah, all of these options are just incredible. Mark, with the same last name as yours.
Dad? Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, no.
So Dad is asking, how did you learn Unreal and decide that a gaming program could be used for theme design? And what is your favorite design tool?
That means a lot. Thank you. That's really sweet. Oh my God. What was the question? So I learned.
How did you learn Unreal, and why is that? And decide that program could be used for theme design.
Gotcha. So when I was back at Universal, I was doing a lot of 3D designs, and I wanted to walk into the environment. I was very interested in doing VR with 3D design, because there was no pipeline for it yet. And I was also thinking, like, if I could just get my creative director to sit down here, put the headset on, and ride the ride, we'll know if it's good or bad, if it's working. And so I wanted to be able to say, what's the next iterative step to 3D design? How can we have all these assets, like how do we just show someone? So I started trying to go down all these different routes of saying, what is the right way to be able to present this information? Is it 3ds Max Interactive? Is it Unreal? Is it Unity? Is it something? I eventually found that the Unreal Engine is exactly what I was looking for. And so I started to learn it more and more. And my team actually gave me the go-ahead to say, hey, any free time that you have in between tasks for the project, to start figuring this thing out, because we think it'd be a great tool to use. And so eventually I started learning Unreal even more and more. I learned the blueprint editor. I started to get into the nitty-gritty of it. And I realized, for me, and I want to push it to the rest of the industry, because I think it is the best way to be able to, for 3D designers to very quickly communicate our art. Because the biggest problem for us is if you're trying to render something out, whether it be a video, an image, or even worse, a VR rendering, it could take days. Like I remember we were doing render outs for Velocicoaster, and we had to have like three or four computers going on, and then a dedicated render farm to get out that rendering that they put out in all the trailers, like that really cool one that where the roller coaster's going over the top hat. Like that was done on like all of our computers, with Greg Hall leading that effort. But with Unreal, if I have the same set of assets and I just do all my texturing and foliage, like plants and stuff in Unreal, I can do that render in about an hour. And so that was the thing that blew my mind, is I said, wow, we can get these really amazing high fidelity renders of our models and make them look really, really, really good and not have to wait days for it. We don't have to like have a video rendering out over the weekend. I can just do it now. And so that was where, and then it was the push of like, okay, how do we do this in VR? Like there's a game engine. The next step is putting it in a headset. And then of course, after that, the next step was, how do I add interactives to it? So there was like one of my most proud days of this entire integration pipeline was we had this attraction and we were dealing with sightlines, as you do with any attraction. But I wanted to get Thierry Koo, who's the VP of creative. I wanted to get his approval on a ride profile. So I worked out the ride profile, but I had it set up where his head's in a VR headset, but as he could reach the keyboards, he could move around the seats and also slightly adjust the actual pitch. Or sorry, that's not the pitch. Yeah, it's the pitch and the yaw of the ride.
Yeah.
Yep. And so he's in the headset and he's doing the thing, and we were able to get approval on something because in VR we were able to accurately assess the sightlines for this very specific type of attraction, and actually get data from it to be able to make something. So yet again, goes back to my mission of I want to make sure this is as perfect as it can be on opening day. And so I did not say y'all, I said y'all.
That's Kelly being Floridian.
Great, wonderful. So it was all about how do we get this stuff approved so we can make sure that we make the attraction that we're actually designing for the guests. Because if we're just designing fun and frilly 3D designs without actually considering what the guest is going to be doing, then we're not really designing. So it came from this very controlling place of I want to be able to make an experience in my computer that is one-to-one to exactly what we're putting in the audience's hands. Because if it's good here, then it's good there. And then that means we make the guests very, very happy. So it just kept coming down to this this layering and layering and layering on top of my desire to make really wonderful experiences for the guest. And when it comes down to favorite design program, I love 3ds Max. That just became my thing at Universal. I feel like I learned under the tutelage of Greg Hall, who, while he was art directing Velocicoaster, I got on that team. I actually came into Universal. I was supposed to start on another project, but then Shelby and Greg pulled me away to start on Velocicoaster. And while I was doing that, Greg, I was primarily using SketchUp and Maya, and Greg was like, no, we do 3ds Max here. And I was like, okay, I just moved all the way out to Florida and I don't want to be sent back. But he was so cool because he would sit with me at least once a week and just show me the ropes. Like just be like, hey, build a bridge. I want to help you build a bridge, build a marquee. And these are things that eventually, like one of my tests from Greg was what eventually became the marquee for Velocicoaster. If you go to the ride, there's these two raptors on top of rocks as you walk, and then there's the track that goes over it. But those rocks were Greg saying, design a marquee. Like, I want you to take these ideas and design a marquee with it. And so that marquee was one of my tests at Universal. And what was great is I didn't even know. I thought it might get thrown away, whatever. I did this cool thing where the two raptors were calling back to one of my favorite attractions, Dueling Dragons, which used to be in the land, now is where Hagrid is now. So those two raptors on top of the rock.
Such a great attraction.
Yes.
Such a great attraction.
So,
I loved that. I was gutted when it left.
Oh, so this is a great story about this. So while I'm on Velocicoaster doing this marquee, I put the two raptors up top and they're like shouting at each other. But I tried to make it very similar to the two dragons that were in front of Dueling Dragons. Because I was like, this is a great homage. Emotionally, at Universal, the operations team had realized that when Dueling Dragons left, there was this high thrill void that it had left in its wake, because there was now no longer two high thrill roller coasters in the park anymore. So when the Velocicoaster team was created, we were trying to make something that filled that high thrill gap. And so I thought, okay, this is kind of a spiritual successor to Dueling Dragons. So when I did the marquee, that was the whole thing. There was the two raptors are calling back to the other dragons. But even sweeter is my partner, Erin McCullum, she was working on Hagrid's. And so while I was doing that marquee, she was working in Hagrid's, where she created a Dueling Dragons callback, because she was creating the paintings that are in the queue. And there's this big painting right as you walk in the room that says Dueling Club with a dragon and a blue dragon that calls back to Dueling Dragons. So without us knowing it, we created the two references to the attraction that was originally there that we both loved.
Oh, that's so cool. I love those little Easter eggs. I love this show because you get a lot of those little things. You get the story behind some of these attractions. It's so cool.
I just said in our private chat, there it is, hashtag power couple. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
We're loving this. I think we need to get to our fun questions because it's already an hour and a half in.
Yeah, we've just gone mad listening to Kevin's
I know.
wonder. And
I
in
know.
just so the viewers know, in our private chat, we've been saying Kevin needs to speak at like many industry events because this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thoroughly engaging. I'm just like shutting up the whole time, and it's not like me to shut up, but it's even more not like Cynthia to shut up.
I know you both, and that's an honor.
We are going to definitely get in touch to talk about the speaking engagements, whatever. Anyway,
I love it. Thank you.
Questions. Shall I start, Chris, or would you like to start?
Let's do your quick fire ones.
All right, quick fire ones. Kevin, are you ready?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me one thing that you own that you really should throw out.
One thing that I own that I should really throw out. I'm very much a minimalist, but one thing that I own that I should really throw out. I'm looking around my office, being like, "What am I about to throw out?"
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I think I have something. So when I was living the life of a bachelor, I wanted to fill my house with as many fake props as I could. So I have a small collection of replica lightsabers that is sitting in my garage.
Throw them out.
No, give them away. Maybe not throw out. Give them away, maybe, or lend them out for birthday parties. I don't know.
When Phantom Menace had just come out, I went with my family to Disney, and I got a Darth Maul. Before, obviously, you got the lightsaber creation that you have now. I got in the Star Tours shop the Darth Maul lightsaber, and I didn't leave that alone for weeks after that. I was spinning that around the house, and every time one of my friends came over, they had to be the Jedi, and I would be there with a double ender, just hitting them with it.
There was something that I did though back when I was living at my old apartment when I was single. I had like all my little Google Homes set up. She's not listening. Okay, I had all of them set up around the apartment to like control the lights and sound and everything. So what I did is when my brother or anyone came to visit, I would have Kylo's lightsaber up on the wall and then Luke's lightsaber up on the wall. And I had it set up that when they came in, I would say, "Hey, so-and-so is visiting." And then all the lights would turn red, and then Duel of Fates would come up, and I would ignite the lightsabers and throw them one, and we would have a battle in the living. Like I'd clear out everything, and little to their knowledge, they were walking into a lightsaber duel. So it was more like a celebratory thing and actually owning the pieces.
I totally get that. All right. Okay. Best sandwich.
Best sandwich. Oh, do hamburgers count?
Yes.
Not even. It hit me.
They did.
Out here in in Florida, we have Winter Garden, which is like the town right next to us. There's this place called the Local Butcher that makes some of the best sandwiches. There's one, I think it's called the Dirty Butcher. And it's just like everything that they have. And they just have some of the most, delicious ingredients. And they're just a really awesome group of people who are local. And so if you're ever in Winter Garden, go check out in Plant Street Market, the Local Butcher. Get any of their sandwiches; they're amazing. But the Dirty Butcher, that's what you got to get. Tell them Kevin told you to get a Dirty Butcher.
All right, next time I will definitely go there. What's the next question?
Thought these were rapid fire. Come on.
Yes, I know. Your favorite smell.
My favorite smell?
Yeah.
Oh, have you? Everyone remembers Soren, the original Soren, like not Soren over the world, Soren over California. Everyone will know exactly what I mean. There was this great smell that right as you flew over the orange grove, it was not the smell of oranges, it was the smell of orange blossom. And that, they nailed it. It was like, I was just like, that's amazing. If I could bottle that up and just like always have like a, little smelling salts, I don't even need coffee. Like that would just keep me going. So favorite smell is a fake smell.
That's fine though too.
Yeah.
That's fine. Your least favorite smell?
Least favorite smell. Oh, so it's another Disney park one. Because when I don't remember how old I was, but it was right after Stitch's Great Escape had opened at the Magic Kingdom, and it was like my first visit to Disney World. I wanted to go because it was the year that Expedition Everest had opened, and I'm from California. My family was like, "We're going to Disney World." I said, "Awesome, great! I want to go for this thing." And I went on Stitch's Great Escape as well. We're at Magic Kingdom, and there's a moment where he burps in your face, and it smells of chili dog and onion. And now, this maybe wasn't the worst smell, but do you know how like, have like phantom sounds or smells or something, like every now and then you're like, oh, what? That's not a smell that's actually in this room. It's like a phantom smell. I had that all week. Everything I ate smelled like onions and chili dog. Everywhere I went smelled like onions and chili dog. So while it was not alone the worst smell I ever had, it deeply affected my first trip to Disney World. All I smelled was onions and chili dog for the whole week.
Oh wow! Stitch burps in every situation. That'd be kind of gross. I can totally get that. Oh my goodness.
Kathy has joined the chat.
Hi, Kathy. Welcome to Unsung Heroes.
This is the one I was talking about. That's the Kathy Dixon I was talking about.
Hello, Kathy. Yes, if you had to describe the rest of your life in 5 words, what would those words be?
The rest of my life or everything up until this point?
No, the rest of your life.
Always pursuing greatness for everyone.
Always pursuing greatness for everyone. Damn. Nice. Timestamp. Yes, exactly. In the chat. Timestamp. Always pursuing greatness. That is beautiful. I like that.
I think I like that one down too.
Ooh, that's nice. That's nice.
Kevin's Rolodex of comments. Something we need to have a name for that. There's a tangible thing. It's sort of tip of the tongue.
Oh, it's someone else from the Kalbfeld family. We love you guys, especially the dad comments. You were totally unfazed. You were unfazed by, am I distracting you?
No. But no, Kathy is totally a part of the Kalbfeld family. Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. All right, my quick fire questions are done. Chris, you're
Are you
up.
done? I was in danger there with I've got sound performance problems, battery problems, but we're just rolling with it.
Rolling with it, baby.
Kevin, if you had to ride into battle on an animal, what would it be?
Okay, so I was working on a project just recently where we had to work with like giant sea creatures. And I realized like, oh my God, creatures of the deep are insane. So if I could have one thing to ride into battle on, if you've ever heard of a mantis shrimp, they are these insane little creatures that have a visual spectrum that is even greater than what we could ever imagine. And they have so they have these little claws and they punch.
Yeah, the kick or the punch. Yeah.
They punch their prey so hard that they create the water evaporates.
The water around
it boils.
It? Yeah.
Right, there's bubbles because they boil the water as they punch something. They are so fast, and they're also beautiful. They are just like multicolored, crazy rainbow creatures. So if I had a giant mantis shrimp, that's it. That's all I need.
That is a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
What a great choice.
Oh my God. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they're accurate too. If you ever like look up videos of mantis shrimp after this, they are scary creatures and how accurate they are.
So I don't
Creepy
know if
little
you're seeing
dudes.
in the private chat, but Sarah is talking about the carousel des Monts Marins, the Marine World Carousel in Nantes. Nantes is in
Mhm.
France,
Mhm.
and it's if you ever
No,
do come
no,
to
no,
France,
no.
you
It's
have to come.
Cynthia. We don't speak French on Unsung Heroes without me interpreting it in my
Yes.
very
Go
Englishness.
for it, honey.
So we're going to go with Carousel des Mondes Marins in Nantes.
Yeah. So that would
See
be
ya.
the Carousel des Monts Marins. The Carousel des Monts Marins in Nantes.
De flibberiboo, de flibberiflee.
Oh yes, I know this actually. I referenced this in a project. Oh, I love this. Yes.
It's
Okay,
beautiful.
yeah, that was a while ago. I referenced this actually. Oh, I love that stuff. So yeah, that's a great one.
So
All right.
Kevin, as this is Unsung Heroes, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Superpower.
Shape-shifting. I just always thought that'd be really cool.
What? Like, shape shifting?
Yeah, like that'd be so dope. No, it's like like looking like something else, looking like someone else, like Clayface in the DC comics. Like it was just a really cool thing. It's like you could do so much with that. You could be deceptive. You know, you could sneak it. Like I could disguise myself as the president and get into anywhere within America. Like you could do so much with that, as well as I was on an improv team in high school, and I always thought, wouldn't it be fun to literally just like, look like any character in the moment? And I really hated makeup and prosthetics for any shows I ever did. So it was like all of that without any of the bullshit. I can say bullshit here, right?
You can, absolutely. Cynthia says fuck all the time.
I'm usually really good. I always like keep my cursing in when I'm doing things like this.
Oh,
but I
so
feel
do
like this is way more casual.
When we actually get to meet in person, Kevin, you'll see what a potty mouth I actually am. But I do my best in calls. I might not wear a shirt, but I do my best to not swear.
Are you going to the Theas this year, Chris?
I'm not. I'm not important enough, and I cannot afford to.
Well, you are so important. The money I can't do, but I can tell you're important.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're important.
I think I'll be a little bit more important for the Theas next year because I'll be EME president. I'll be the youngest regional president ever, and I'll also be the first openly gay one, I believe. And I also think that I'm the first one that's followed a family member through the role. So I'm like, there we go. There's my 3.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. More about
you. That's awesome.
I've got a hypothetical question for you, and then we've got our final question that we ask every guest. So my hypothetical, which I have used before because I love it, you have 12 hours to spend $1 million. How do you do it?
1 million, huh?
12 hours?
Okay.
Ooh.
12 hours.
Okay, 12 hours to spend $1 million. Oh, I don't think my answers are very fun. I mean, honestly, it's like I would really like a Tesla. Like that's my vain thing. Like as a kid, I always wanted a Nintendo, and you save up for summers and and work side jobs and do chores or whatever, and like that was the thing. And like the Tesla is like my adult version of that.
There's $100,000, only 900 to go.
The rest of it. So I've always really liked the idea of working with friends on projects, but have never been able to find major capital for it unless I was working with an institution or a brand. I would love to just get my theme entertainment friends together. Like Dave Hall and I talk about this all the time. If we just had like capital, we would love to get everyone together to like just work on really dope projects. And so just like do that, like consider that an investment, and then just have
the Thempire.
Thempire. Well, like the million, I'm very much like a future focused person. So the moment I have money, it like goes into things that I won't spend it immediately. But my whole thing would be like, get the group together, be like, guys, I finally have money, and then like make something really cool, and then just build the empire off of that.
We're saying in the private chat now, like, yeah, we all agree with that. That would be amazing.
Oh, wonderful.
I
got the rest of the
think
team.
we'd need a little bit more than $1 million. I'm just
Oh,
thinking.
well, I mean, like, have you ever done really great, like, smaller and immersive theater? I mean, I'm sure you have. Like, that kind of stuff, and then it builds, and, like, Meow Wolf even started as, like, a smaller group that was doing an impermanent show. The House of Eternal Return was their first time they actually did a brick and mortar, and that was a major risk. But it was a long, long trip before they ever got there.
Yeah, people like the world now is too much not about taking risks. So there's no big leaps forward anymore.
Yeah, someone's got to take
I like
the risk.
referencing. I know this is exceptionally British, but I like referencing how Monty Python started, and that they went. They did a presentation. They went into the BBC and did a presentation, which wasn't a presentation. Everyone's wearing suits, and they just turned up in jeans, and they're like, "We want to make a show," and they're like, "Well, do you need music? Do you need artwork? Do you need script writers?" They're like, "We don't know. What we're going to do is have a camera." Oh, you need a camera. Camera's difficult. Camera's expensive. Yeah, but screw everything else. We'll just have a camera and a boom mic, and we'll just muck about, and we'll just do our stuff. And someone from the BBC, the most sort of at the time politically correct and hoity-toity is the only way I can describe it, institution goes, yeah, crack on, have a go at it. I'll give you 13 episodes and that's it. You won't get any more than 13 unless it's brilliant. And then, like, that's how Monty Python started. People need to take punts on young people with crazy ideas and then just make sure that they've got the backing to let that thing come to fruition. Otherwise, it's just the same thing again and again and again and again.
And I mean, it circles back to the question before of challenges in the industry. I think we become a very risk-averse industry. Very rarely are we willing, on a larger, smaller scale, to take risks. Things like Galaxy's Edge, Star Cruiser, those are risks. And I think that there's been some bad press around both at their openings. And yet, as a designer, I think Star Cruiser is definitely a risk. I think that was one where they realized there was a very niche market. They had to hit this very, very, they had to take the X-Wing down the trench and hit that very, very small hole to blow up the Death Star. Like, it was this very tiny target that they had to hit of the overlap of people who have the capital and then also are Star Wars fans. And then there's really this world that is one-time visitors, which are the bloggers. That's the person who's going to come once, get the social media fodder to be able, go into the coal mines, get it, come back out, put it online, and then probably never come back because they're moving on to the next museum of ice cream. So you have this situation where you have a property that is very expensive, but really doesn't allow for more than one visit unless you have an even smaller niche within that target. So I thought it was incredibly risky for them to do that. I think if the price point was lower, it would be an even greater risk. And I would have loved, and I don't know if it's an experience that I would necessarily love to go to. I need my immersive experience to be a little bit more, give the guests a little bit more agency. But I recognize that it's like baby's first immersive theater experience that is extended over an entire weekend. So in that, I feel like because it's not a land, an attraction, a cruise ship, or a hotel, in the way that they've normally made hotels, I find that to be outside of the norm enough to be considered a risk.
But then what we end up getting, Galaxy's Edge is Ratatouille, but with a different blanket over it. And Transformers is Spider-Man with a different blanket over it. And it's repetition within, they're in different actual parks, but they're within the same brand. And it's like, where is the ingenuity? What is Walt Disney Imagination and Universal Creative? What they're known for, this epic ability to deliver something ridiculously mind-blowingly new and exciting. And there's just a level of, here's this again, repetition. We've gone back into what's serious, and this is supposed to be the fun question.
No, I will say, we're seeing progression. I want to see the offshoot. And I think I'm hoping that the pandemic is how we've all had to change the way that we not only collaborate to create experiences, but also how we make experiences has been changed over the past 2 years. And I think that I would love to believe that this is, the beginning of the offshoot, is as we're all starting to get back into the world and make these things again, we've seen progression. Like even Rise of the Resistance, one of my favorite rides, but it's something that we all talked about. This everyone's talked about a multi-layered, storied queue of shows, like essentially a Poseidon's Fury that brings you to a dark ride, was something that I wanted since I was 16 years old. And to see that finally being done to, not the greatest extent that I think we'd all like to see it, but to actually be tried, I like seeing that. Yes, the ride itself is something it's an extension of what we've seen before. Same thing with Smuggler's Run. It's an extension of what we've seen before. I think the hotel represents more of an offshoot, but I don't know if it's enough of an offshoot. I don't think we're going to see that offshoot from a Disney or Universal. I think they're wonderfully capable companies of doing what they do really well. And that's good lands, good attractions, good hotels, good guest experiences. But I don't think we're going to see this next industry offshoot change coming from either of the big two.
I totally agree with that as well. Right, well, get to our final question. We shall do it.
I do think that's a really valid point. And I'd love to end the series thing on that, because that was really, really cool. Now, fun. The last question.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So, Kevin, we ask every single person the same question. The other ones all change slightly, but this is the only one we definitely ask absolutely everyone to end our show. If you had to wear a hat for the rest of your life, and it was either a big hat or a little hat, which one would you choose? Bear in mind, you have to wear it at all times, no matter what you're doing, and you can't explain why. So these are the hats. Pick one.
Chris. Oh, is it those specific hats, or is it any big or small hat?
No, those specific hats. If I was sat at home where I should have been right now, I would be holding those hats right next to me, exactly where Kelly and Sarah have put them.
Oh, it's mirrored. Jeez. Big hat. Big hat.
It's another big hat. It's another big hat.
Absolutely. Why? Big hat.
Why?
Because the little hat, I feel like looks like you're wearing a costume. Like it feels like, oh, this isn't meant to be taken seriously. The big hat has it's the little hat's an exclamation point. The big hat is a question mark. You walk into the room and you don't know if someone meant to do it. Like, okay, so, and that's just, this is very much, I guess, like my brand of human being. Like the last company I worked at was not primarily theme entertainment driven, but they are like entertainment design. And I wanted to bring my own spin of weirdness. Just, that's me. So they asked me to do a presentation about myself and my work and what I do. And on every other slide, I had a hidden Shrek. And so as we're going through the presentation, he's, popping up from underneath, or he's looking over the side. And on the last page where it was like a picture of me and my puppet, and then, my contact stuff on the side, it was just for a second, just a flash of him. And I think people were more confused than anything else. That is exactly how I wanted them to walk away from a presentation about myself, is just be like, that was some cool stuff, but what was that? There's like an air of mystery to it. So that's why I like the big hat, is because there's not a deep level of finality in how the viewers will see it, but there is a clear decision made by the one wearing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. That's like perfect.
That is my reason for the big hat.
There is absolutely no interpretation possible here.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Right. We are at the end of this show, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for being our unsung hero this week. To all of our viewers, thank you for listening. Please do not forget to like, follow, subscribe.
We forgot to say that at the stop.
Fondle. It's horrible.
Slightly
It's
press,
horrible.
slightly caress,
Yes, whatever.
a cheeky fondle,
Buttons.
all the buttons.
You know, everything that is inappropriate with the buttons, just go ahead and do it. We're all on board for the inappropriate button touching.
A very light lick.
It's true. Now, that would be Naked. Naked, David Sedaris, the book. He talks about licking. He licks everything. He licks light switches. He licks doorknobs. And honestly, in the book, it's
Hashtag not COVID safe, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no.
you know, whatever. It was before
Not today.
COVID. So,
No, not today.
so whatever you want to do with your buttons, it's your problem, and just go ahead and do it. Kevin, where can we find you? Please give us your socials.
Sure.
I don't know
So,
if we've got them.
If you'd like us to have them.
Yeah, if you want to. I mean,
yeah, I thought I did. So you can find my professional work at kevinkalbfelddesigns.com. Follow my professional work on Kevin Kalbfeld Designs Instagram. Then if you want the fun stuff, you want to follow my puppet friend. That's the Mantics theme. THEME. Oh my God.
There we go.
God,
There it is.
the Mantics. Thank you.
We've done it.
I just got the trademark for it too. I should know how to spell it. So the Mantics on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and now TikTok to talk about, the highfalutin psychology of theme park design, but make it a lot more palpable with a puppet. So that's where you can find me. Cynthia, Chris, Kelly, and Sarah in the back there. Thank you guys so much. I had a great time just chatting with you all. And everyone who's watching, like Aaron, Jeremy, Kathy, Dad, thank you. I love you all, and thanks so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Yes, everyone, make the world a better place. Go hug a hero. Bye, everybody. Love y'all. Mwah.